Iko Nini. So the trending story hapa Kenya this past weekend imekuwa ni story za msanaitwa Albert Ojwang. So Albert Ojwang alikuwa ni a teacher na alikuwa na teach hizo Masai za Coast, but inasemekana alikuwa ameteka break akaishia Masai za Migori for holiday, then on Saturday akachukuliwa na makarao. Alafu after kuchukuliwa na makarao now on Sunday, like one of the headlines, the Citizen ilikuwa ni police confirm Albert Ojwang was in police custody over false publication and succumbed to injuries sustained after allegedly hitting his head on the cell wall, probe launched. And hii story of course ilifanya sasa nikataka kudig into hii story kuona like a few of the things. Na kauna shindwa the best way kuput hii story like after makarao washa react on Sunday, because wali react on Sunday wali release like a very bogus statement, and kwa hii statement hako wana take any responsibility, na basically walikuwa wanasema that umse alidie from self-inflicted injuries. And before that to check the reason why he was arrested in the first place, I'd want us to look at the statement from the National Police Service. So walikuwa nasema update following the death of Albert Ojwang. Ilikuwa the National Police Service wishes to inform the public that following the tragic death of Mr. Albert Ojwang while in police custody at Central Police Station, Nairobi, and to ensure a thorough, impartial and expeditious investigation by the Independent Policing Authority, the Inspector General of Police has ordered the interdiction of the following officers. So okay, this was the second statement wali release. I guess upon may make mistake. The first statement wali release walikuwa very unapologetic, but I think what ended up happening with this death is it brought back the memories of last year, brought back the memories of June last year, na saizi tuko kwa June this year, ukitaka kujua vile time fly. And wase saizi wanaitisha protests, like kuna posters tayari zishatengenezwa zile zinaitisha wase wabaki wametokea kwa protests on Tuesday, which will be the 9th. And I actually understand why tunaanza kufeel ni kama things are getting worse. Najua every time you feel like maybe we've taken one step ahead, tunabaki tumerudishwa nyuma tena, tunaonyeshwa like there's been zero progress. So the first statement that wali release before watu wakasirikia kabisa ilikuwa clarification on the death of Albert Ojwang. Hii ndio nilikuwa nabonga juu yake. Hii ilikuwa like some ultimate bullshit. Alafu wakaendelea, the National Police Service has noted reports circulating on social media regarding the death of a suspect allegedly in custody at Central Police Station. Alafu yo allegedly in custody, vile liandikwa ni kama the suspect was allegedly in custody. Najua, but inafaa kuwa the death ndio iko alleged ili happen in custody. But it gets worse. Then wakaendelea, and PS confirms that Albert Ojwang was lawfully arrested by DCI detectives for false publication and placed in custody. While in custody, the suspect sustained head injuries after hitting his head against the cell wall. Police officers on duty promptly noticed the injuries and rushed him to Mbagathi, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. In line with statutory requirements, IPOA has launched an investigation into the incident, and PS reaffirms its commitment to upholding constitutional standards of human rights and fundamental freedoms. So ilikuwa Mushiri Nyaga, the deputy corporate nini. So hii ndio the first statement wali release. Alafu I guess after vile wase bado walikuwa wamejam na hizi maposters kanza kutokea za vile Tuesday was son of a protest etc. That's when they realized that and decided to release his statement. Walikuwa nasema that the following ordered the interdiction of the following officers, kasema the OCS, Central Police Station, the duty officer on duty, night in question, the cell sentry on duty at the time, and all officers who were on duty at the report office that night, and any other officer found to be on duty or otherwise involved during the incident. History umse ni simple sana, or at least from what I'm hearing. From what I'm hearing ni kuna a certain headline that's going round. Inasemekana yeye alikuwa ameitengeneza. So if you see the headline, you can actually see in headline ya The Standard, but if you look at the font, because you know every newspaper has its own style and font. If you look at the font, you can see that this is not the standard. Like ule msali tengeneza, maybe hakuwa na understand how fonts work na vitu kama hizo. So the title itself ilikuwa kitu kama The Mafia Cop, Alafu ikakuwa the Standard has uncovered a well-organized syndicate in the police headed by DIG Eliud Langat. The syndicate comprises of 12 Nairobi-based commanders that channel over 100 million monthly to Mr. Langat. So inasemekana yende alikama up na hii statement. Yani hii fake headline. Of course the Standard wali end up wame release nini their own version, wakaambia wase hii ni fake. Unajua, just to confirm kwa wase hii ni fake. So kai inasemekana hii ndio ilifanya aka-arrestiwa. Ina make sense kuzikicheki Budake. When Budake alikuwa interviewed, alisema that the son was arrested because he posted something offensive about one of the bosses. Hakusema the name of the boss, but everyone is alleging that the boss involved was Langat, and everyone is alleging that this fake post ilikuwa posted by Ojwang, and this led to his death. But this brings back one of the promises that Ruto ali make. No one had asked him to make this promise because very few Kenyans by this time knew about how the extrajudicial problem in Kenya is so huge. But Ruto kabla ingie in 2022 alituambia that no more extrajudicial killings would happen under his watch. And one of the things that he said was the fact that the police would be independent, and apart from independent, that he'd allow them to have their own budget, blah, 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 and they'd never worry about the executive, etc. So this time the death happens, and the death happens courtesy of the police. And now we know that the police protect the executive, but this is a situation whereby the police have done this to themselves. So now we want to see how independent are these police and how afraid are they of the judiciary. Because when it comes to it, waliambwa vizuri kabisa na the judges that protesting is legal. Now Kenyans want to protest on 9th of January, which is Tuesday. And tayari kumekuwa na hizo vitu za watu kuambia na msiende protest, mkienda mtadidishwa. And this is the fear. The fear. They put the fear of God in us last year. But kuna kuwagana the famous saying that when we lose our fear, they lose their power. So what's going to happen this time? Are people going to lose their fear? Actually don't know. If you had to ask me, do I think that it's the right time kukumbusha say that it's not business as usual? Yes. And pia kwa waseka ODM, wale niko na cheki mse kama Mbadi anasema vile saizi wako kwa serikali. Is this what being in serikali means? Najua. Like msana tolewa Migori. Like this is one of the things ile ni cheki udem. Kuna udem anaitwa Pauline Njoroge alikuwa ameuliza a few questions. Alikuwa amesema someone else had asked these questions. And the questions were, how is someone arrested in Migori then brought to Nairobi? Like how does that make sense? If we just to start with that. Like mtu ameshikwa in Migori. Why is this person being brought to Nairobi? And this can be handled locally. Even if alikuwa like offend mse Mbigi, this could have been handled locally uko to Migori. So ilikuwa hiyo post ya Pauline Njoroge ilikuwa ni Elijah K. Samuel is asking a few critical questions. Alafu kwa what were the circumstances of Albert Ojwang's arrest? Then kwa yes, the police mentions that his arrest was because of false publication, but which is this publication? As I said, I also don't know which specific publication this is. Your headline is a rumor. It's alleged that this is the publication, but there is no definite Alafu ikakuwa which specific post ama posts on X led to his arrest. Alafu why was he transported to Nairobi? Ikakuwa after his arrest in Migori, Ojwang was driven over 300 kilometers to Nairobi's Central Police Station for further questioning. Unless I'm wrong, Migori is much further than Kisumu. Kisumu inakuwaga 320 kilometers from Nairobi. So I think Migori we're talking about at least 400. Because I remember Migori used to be really far. Nikiwa mtoi, nikipelekwa Migori. I'll check that. Wacha niendelee na hizi maswali. Then ikakuwa after his arrest, Ojwang was driven over 300 Nini for further questioning. Then why was it necessary to transfer him such a long distance rather than handle the case locally? Was this standard procedure for alleged offense? Aren't there police stations in Migori? Alafu ikakuwa was his arrest properly documented? Some friends and activists claim Ojwang was not booked in the OB at Central Police Station, suggesting foul play. Why was there no record of his detention, and does this indicate a violation of protocol? Then how did he sustain fatal injuries? Then the National Police Service claims Ojwang died after hitting his head against a cell wall, sustaining self-inflicted injuries, and was pronounced dead on arrival at Mbagathi. History ya kujihit against the wall, I make sense. Because ndio mtu ajigonge for that long paka ajiue, at some point atakuwa disoriented, na akiwa disoriented, what's going to happen? Ata stop. Kustakuwa disoriented, alafu you won't know why you're even doing whatever you're doing. So history ya self-inflicted haiko ina make sense. Then ikakuwa pia wakaendelea hapa. However, witnesses who saw his body reported severe injuries inconsistent with the police narrative. Ikakuwa what caused these injuries, and are there inconsistencies in the official account? Was he alone in the cell? If not, can the account of other inmates be made public? And if not, why he alone? Were there CCTV cameras in the cells? If yes, why can't they just produce the footage? I think this is one of the things we need to ask for. You come to these political arrests, people need to be put in cells that have CCTV footage. Najua cause saizi tumeanza kunotice that the political arrests are becoming more and more dangerous. And the fact that they're becoming more and more dangerous, there needs to be a certain level of, we can go back and check that this is what happened. But history Ojwang, what it's going to do is it's going to piss off people more. And it's going to piss off people more because with this history extrajudicial, it's always happened. Now, that's one thing I have to always say. But now, it's being documented. And the fact that it's being documented, it's reminding us the way it's not going anywhere. The way the police know they're above the law. And the only reason why the police feel they're above the law is because they protect the executive. And the executive in Kenya, minakuaga, unajua, will protect you as long as you protect us. So what ends up happening is the police know they can get away with these crimes. This time, see, it's not even a criticism of the president. It's a criticism of a senior police officer. But since senior police officer anajua that, okay, I'm protected. Najua why? Because I'll be needed in 2027. Why will I be needed? Because the numbers don't look good. And Sudi na kina Tiragei washasema, if the numbers don't add up, they're going to play with the numbers. And if they play with the numbers, who will you need to stamp and make sure that the numbers stick? It's the police. So that's why we have this situation. So I'm gonna check like a few people who are involved in this. Wale kama Faith alikuwa anasema that hakuna mtu alikuwa allowed to access either the body or anything, because unit Faith of the Amboa LSK, because there's that element of they're trying to hide something, they're trying to balance things, trying to make things come out vile hivyo. So saizi of course this is going to fall on Johansen Oduor, the government pathologist. Yeye itabidi afanye hiyo autopsy, na akifanya hiyo autopsy tutataka kusikia. But what's the probability ya msee kujihit kichwa against the wall mpaka baki amededi? The probability is next to zero, because kichwa vile national kusema at some point you'll be disoriented. Hasa hata wasiwa kigongwa block kwa boxing, napata kama sana pigwa na anasahau kule yuko. So inamaanisha hiyo ni very hard kufanya hivyo. Alafu the fact that alitolewa from Migori to Nairobi pia inaonyesha there was an intent of foul play. Otherwise, just arraign him in court in Migori for false publication. You don't need to transport him all this way. And also to go back to statement ya Budake alikuwa anasema that one of the cops alimwambia that the son had like published something offensive about their boss. So yeah, and at civilized society, what would happen is the boss that been amekuwa implicated angestep aside, they allow for investigations. So hii history ya IPOA ile wamename specific people, that's not enough, because the main suspect has not been najua hajambua step aside, and that's the problem that we have. And I don't know, because June will always hold a special place in a lot of Kenyan hearts. As we approach June 25th, June 25th itakuwa when? Itakuwa I think ni hiyo Wednesday ingine. Yeah. Kuna iko like 2 Wednesdays away, June 25th. And I'll want to see if a lot of parents wanna feel kama mimi. But to me hiyo siku inafaa kuwa an official public holiday. This is a day where if you run a business and you can close your business for that day, funga. If you koza fanya mtoia baki amekaa home, wacha mtoia kae home. That's a form of protest in its way. To just remind these people that we'll never forget what happened on June 25th and the reason that it happened. This thing happened because the government was not listening. Najua, the government was being very dismissive. Najua, walikuwa na that Iko Nini attitude. Ile nakumbuka Sekaki na nani kwa naitwa akina Ishongwa wakituambia that the bill is going to pass whether we like it or not, and then whatever ended up happening. And how did the government react? It reacted violently, and apart from violently kenda pimededisha wase wengi. Alafu after kudedisha watu wengi, what ended up happening is that set the tone for what has been happening like in the past 1 year, where a lot of Kenyans have died in the hands of police, and a lot of Kenyans continue to die in the hands of police. So let's see what happens on June 9th. And this time it's the people protesting against the police, and it's the police that are supposed to protect us. So what's going to happen? I personally don't know. But do I think it's time for Wase kurudi back to streets? I feel so. I feel like it's not getting better. Najua. And 2027 seems very far. And apart from that, 2027, with the police behaving the way they behave and behaving with this level of impunity, what's going to stop 2027 from being 2007? Hakuna. There might be another Tharakanithi that ends up happening. So let's wait and see. But with that, man, rest in peace to Albert Ojwang. And history Albert Ojwang goes to show how much the president lies. Because the president alitu promise vizuri kabisa that under his presidency there'll be no extrajudicial killings. But saa hizi it's safe to say that under his presidency kumekuwa na very many documented extrajudicial killings, and Kenyans have been foreigners have been abducted in our streets by the police to be taken to other countries. Hii kitu ya nani Ojwang, we can literally call it an abduction, because if you're taking someone from huko mpaka huku, and then pia when Kenyans were being harassed by the police in other countries, it's like the president and his supporters were supporting that. And yeah, so we are stuck in this situation whereby we don't know what tomorrow holds. And niche kuna seflani alikuwa ameandikia RAPCHA after history wote akisema mwaf, be careful. Unajua kitu interesting na Ojwang, I think Ojwang saizi sindo tunalia Ojwang, but Ojwang mwenyewe ajui that tunamlia. So I think sometimes we live na hiyo principle ya Epicurus that fear not death, because when you're here it's not, and when it's here you're not. And I think that's what we have to live with, because if we are all to be afraid to a level that we can't talk, like saizi tuamue hatutuongea juu Ojwang, what's going to stop them from doing this again? At least saizi tukiongea juu Ojwang, maybe they'll come up with another strategy. Maybe they'll be like, you know what, we can't just be as open as we are, as we were with Ojwang. Let's try at least fake it this time. Let's do something different. But to abduct someone, because that's what that was, from their home in Migori, and for them to be dead less than 24 hours later in Nairobi after self-sustained injuries, hitting their head against the wall. How are we supposed to believe this narrative? So as wamekuwa suspended, if I was to go through that list again, according to me, there has to be one more person that has to be added there, and it's the boss. I don't know if it's this one, but that boss that walisema alikuwa offended, that boss has to be suspended. So it can't be. Yes, I'll say wako hapo, the OCS, yes, that one, the duty officer, the cell sentry, and all officers on duty, and any other officer found to have been on duty or otherwise. Yes, those ones have to step aside for the investigations. But more than that, the officers who arrested him, hao pia lazima wa step nini. Kulikuwa na moja, I think akonitwa Sigei. Those ones also need to step aside. And after those ones have stepped aside, the person who sent them, I don't know if it's this Lagat guy, the person who sent them also needs to step aside. And that's for the investigations to just start, alafu baadaye tutabaki tumejua vile kunaenda. So Iza jo, nimeanzia wiki yako with some very sad stuff, but unajua it's Kenya man. And nikimalizia hii story wacha nikushtue that tuko na very limited tickets, but this Sunday ni Father's Day, so kutakuwa na the Iko Nini Father's Day barbecue, tutakuwa ikihappen pale Evergreen Park, Kiambu Road. And tickets ni thou inakupatia all the meat you can eat, but sasa wewe mwenyewe utakuwa umetumia soko bole kuingia Evergreen Park. Hiyo inaendea watu wa Evergreen. Sisi thou inasaidia like logistics na kumake sure pia kuna the condiments and the mawaru na mavitu kama hizo, but still you can eat all you can eat, so itakuwa ni very good for you. So but basically hiyo ni the Iko Nini Father's Day barbecue ile na happen this Sunday. And tutakuwa mimi Mr. RAPCHA, Ian pia atakuwa hapo. Alafu we are waiting to meet you, and tunafikiria this time tutashoot a pod there, but we'll have a few questions for you. And it's going to be interesting, and we're thinking of some fun and games. And let's meet this Sunday, the Iko Nini Father's Day barbecue. Iko Nini.